Hello boys and girls, today we're going to do a sink and float science experiment. If something sinks, it goes down to the bottom of the water. If it floats, it stays on top of the water like this. Can you do this with me? Sink and float. Now when we want to see if something sinks or floats, we make a prediction. We guess, is it going to float or is it going to sink? Now I have a Matchbox car. It's made of metal. Do you think it's going to sink or float? Now your prediction might be right and it might not be right. If it's not right, that's okay because it's science. Let's try. I don't know about this Matchbox car. It's kind of metally. Let's see if it's going to sink or float. The Matchbox car sink. You know why? Because it's made out of metal. We're going to put that over here with the items that sink and we'll see at the end which we have more of. Next, I think maybe we'll try this paintbrush. It's a little plastic paintbrush. Do you think it's going to sink or float? My guess is it's going to float. Let's see if I'm right. Do you see? It's floating on the water. It's staying up on the top. I'm going to try something else before I take out the paintbrush. A rubber band. It's small. I don't know if this is going to sink or float. So why don't you take a guess and let's see what happens. The rubber band sinks. It's made of plastic. It's made of rubber. So I guess rubber must sink. And the paintbrush that's made of plastic floats. Let's take this out. Let's see. Next, I think maybe we'll try a penny. It's flat. It's made of metal. Do you think it's going to sink or float? Let's find out. A penny sinks. How about this little clothespin? It's made of wood and some metal. I think this might float because it's made of wood, but it might sink too. My guess is maybe wrong and that's okay. Let's find out. The little clothespin floats. Like I said, it's made of wood, so it floats. Let's take our penny out and try something else. I have quite a few things over here. I have a comb. Now make sure when you go find things around the house to try sink and float that you ask your mom and dad if you can use them. This comb is plastic. Let's see if it sinks or floats. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's floating because it's made of plastic. I also have a rock. A rock is kind of heavy. Do you think it's going to sink or float up on the top? I think it's probably going to sink. Let's find out. Definitely, it sinks. All right, let's see what else we can try. I have this little thing. It's like a little ornament, a fun thing. I'm not sure what it's made out of, so let's see if it's going to sink or float. It's really shiny. It kind of looks like metal. Must be metal because it sank. Now when you try this at home, I want you to guess before you put them in the water. Guess, do you think it's going to sink or it's going to float? Make your prediction because that way you can kind of sort things out and see what you have, more things that sink or more things that float. Let's try a few more things. How about a pencil? That's got wood and metal. Ooh, a pencil floats. That's pretty cool. How about a paper clip and a key? This is made of metal. I bet this will probably sink. It did. And a paper clip is also made of metal. It's light, but it's made of metal, so I wonder if it will also sink. Let's see. That sank too. I have a few more things. Ooh, what about this egg? Many of you might have some of these at home. It's plastic. Let's see if it's going to sink or float. If it sinks, it's going to go way on the bottom, and if it floats, it's going to stay right here on top. I'm going to put it in the front so you can see. The egg floats. Very neat. Let's take these things out. We're going to try one more thing. I have 2 spoons. Both spoons, one's plastic, one's metal. One's going to float and one's going to sink. What do you think? Do you think the plastic one will float or sink? Or do you think the metal one's going to sink or float? Let's see. There we go. The plastic one is floating and the metal one sank. It's pretty cool. Now, I have one more thing to show you that Mrs. Brinkman told me about, and I don't believe her, but we're gonna find out. She said, if you take an orange that's not peeled and an orange that's peeled, one's gonna sink and one's gonna float. I don't know which one's gonna sink and which one's gonna float. What do you think? Do you think that the not peeled one is gonna sink or is it gonna float? And do you think the one that's peeled is gonna sink or float? Let's see, I'm gonna put them in at the same time and let's see what happens. Give it a second. Now if you look, the one that's not peeled, a lot of it's under the water, but it's not touching the bottom. It's still floating. But if you look at the one that got peeled, it's touching the bottom and not floating at all. So Mrs. Brinkman was right. One floats, the one that's not peeled floats, and the one that's peeled sinks. I hope that you can do this at home. You can get any sort of thing to put water in. And make sure you ask your moms and dads if things around the house you could get. You could also use Legos or little figurines. And maybe show me some pictures on our Google Classroom. I'd love to see them. Have a great day.